Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to a late night edition of the Missing Wolves post-game live stream podcast thing. I'm your host, Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage, and today we got Travis Singleton, the sneaker reporter, in his fresh AE1 t-shirt. How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. It's going good. Thanks for having me on here, man. We had a thriller tonight, so I'm excited to talk about it for sure.
Well, I got to correct myself right away. That's an AE2 t-shirt, right?
Oh, this is the AE1 shirt.
Oh, okay. I was right. I was going to say,
right.
I thought the ones this year had a little bit of a different thing on it, but I am not the professional. First, I got to ask you, because I know both of these people are your guys, and I'm not going to let you get off the hook as easy as just coming on the podcast. But, I mean, between getting an AE2 and a Shea, whatever year of Shea it is, what should fans be looking to get their kids for Christmas this year?
I mean, I can say both, or I can't say both.
You can't say both. You gotta pick one based off of your expertise.
Okay.
Fans only have like $120. That's all I got.
Okay.
So.
All right. If we're going with one, we gotta go with the AE2s. They got two colorways coming out in the month of December. He has a colorway coming out called the Alpha Dog, and it's a white with a kind of a white, black, and like a shiny blue. And then he has the Christmas pair that's coming out that he's been wearing in the Sprite commercials, the Santa Claus. So those are coming out, and half the shoe is red, and then the other half is green. So a lot of people aren't able to see it in the commercial, but yeah, so it's half and half. So if I was gonna
half and half,
yep.
Oh, wild. Okay.
Yeah. So if I was gonna pitch any one of those, I would definitely go to AE2. The Shea, I do love the Shays though. I ain't gonna lie. That might be the shoe that I wear for my birthday because I definitely like it. But I also love Adidas, and I love what Adidas is doing, and I appreciate the partnership and the collaborations that me and Adidas have had. So I'm always gonna lean toward Adidas right now, and that's just where I'm at with it, and we're good with that.
I mean, fair. I gotta ask you too. I mean, the colorway kind of like hype. I feel like that's more of a recent thing. Am I just like an old man that didn't remember other athletes doing colorways, or like is that more of a recent thing?
Colorways, they've been around forever, so even Michael Jordan, he has the flu game, he has the last shot, like, so colorways he's the one that actually started the colorways. I would definitely say that was Michael Jordan for sure, because everybody started just putting memories and moments that he had in those shoes and started calling those the colorway, so that's kind of where it came about. And then you had Kyrie Irving. He had a lot of colorways with different, he had SpongeBob colorways. He had, he had a General Mills colorway, like where he had Twix. He had a whole bunch of cereals and stuff like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. The list goes on. And then you have Paul.
Maybe that's where I get confused. It's like I always thought those were just like limited edition, like special edition things. Whereas, like, it seems like the colorways are just year round, whatever. Like you can go online and get 100 different AE1s at this point.
Yeah. The colorways, I mean, they all have different names behind them. I mean, Paul George, Kyrie Irving. Paul George had like a whole PlayStation colorway line. So. I mean, for every single button on the controller, like he had the pink, the blue, the green, like he had every single. It was crazy. And then he had the one that, remember the PlayStation controller I showed you. So like he had collaborations like that. So I think the colorways, they kind of grow on their own. I mean, and let's be honest, like, Anthony Edwards can come out with a pair that's, let's just say all red. And people are going to just call him the Red October because that's what, Kanye West had, back in the day. So, I mean, there's certain colorways, like if it's just there, it's, that's just what it's going to be. But it's pretty cool that you're wondering about colorways, man. So you're growing as a sneakerhead.
As somebody that has been wearing Curry 2s for the past 16 years or however long those have been out. I feel like I do eventually have to move on to a different shoe. And I mean, the AE2s are just ridiculous. Like they look so clean Everything I've read about them is that they're a perfect basketball shoe. I don't get Adidas money, so I'm just saying this like because.
Not for sure. But I would say for comfort, it's I think it's really a basketball shoe. Mm-hmm. Comfort wise is like I know I have trouble with it, so with just being in the 82s for a little bit, but you got to break them in. You really got to break them in like you're about to play. Like I legit felt like I was in the store just running back and forth to break them in like I was about to play a scrimmage or something, So yeah.
Well, let's get into tonight's game because Wolves do end up winning 149-142. Yeah. Anthony Edwards, 44 points. He played kind of ridiculous 35 straight minutes if you go back to the second quarter. I mean, what were your thoughts on Ant tonight? Because he is just on a tear.
He's on a tear right now. That third quarter was special. He came out and really set the tone and was aggressive, looking for a shot. I mean, he put up 30 shots tonight, 16 for 30. I mean, he really came with it. I think the biggest thing for me was he was attacking, right? I mean, he took 30 shots, but 13 threes. I mean, but still 17 going to the rack. I'm good with that. When you have that balance, that just shows me that he's really going for it. And I just love what he did tonight. He was a true facilitator too. He had 4 assists as well. Like he found his teammates when he needed to find them. 5 boards. So he had a pretty good game overall. I think the shot making ability is what we look for. I mean, he made some timely shots tonight. I mean, they put Murphy on him. They were throwing everybody. Sadiq Bey. It didn't matter who you threw at him. When he's on a tear like this, I mean, it's scary to watch. I mean, I feel like this is just a great time for the NBA right now. I mean, even Jaylen Brown just had 42 tonight.
Yeah.
The other night they both went at it. So I mean, this is just one of those stretches that he's on right now, and Ant-Man is just playing unbelievable.
I mean, looking at his shot chart here, I mean, it is clean. Now, out of those 30 shots, only 2 of them weren't in the paint or a 3. I mean, he was awesome, which, I mean, that's kind of it's so like easy to just say like this season hinges on Anthony Edwards, but like New Orleans was really just everything they could do to stop him. And it didn't matter. He still scored 34 points in the second half and overtime. Like is he kind of getting into that like MVP candidacy conversation yet, or do you think he's still like a half step behind the Luka, the Giannis, Shea, Jokic kind of top 4?
I still, to be totally honest, I obviously everybody knows I love Ant and I love his game, but I still think he's a step behind when it comes to the MVP. Now that doesn't mean that by All-Star break we're having a whole different conversation, right? So if he stays at this tier, then he's gonna reach another tier. Like I did that.
It's also kind of like just an indictment of the Timberwolves that like, he's now tied Kevin Love for the most consecutive 30-point games at like 7? Like it's he's breaking all of the records, doing all of the things, but I do think like as Wolves fans and reporters, like keeping it in perspective that like breaking the Wolves records isn't like, what
if he's breaking if he's breaking some NBA records now, that's when we're talking a whole nother stratosphere. Because my thing is, and it's no knock on the Timberwolves, I just feel like the Timberwolves haven't had any consistency when it's come to star power since KG left. So once KG did everything he did, then it's like a lot of those records were attainable. I mean, obviously Cat was the closest one to a lot of those records, but the trajectory that Ant's playing at right now, I mean, he's gonna be the leading whatever for every single category in franchise history by the time he's 30. So
it's pretty glib. Even like KG, I feel like I'll be honest, I wasn't a huge Wolves fan in the early 2000s. Like people that want my like origin story, I was a Nets fan. I loved Jason Kidd, Richard Jefferson, Kerry Kittles, big Kerry Kittles guy. Like that was my
like
first
a Keith Van Horn type of guy.
No, I was after Keith Van Horn. Keith Van Horn got traded. Jason, I was actually his son's and Mavericks fans. I really started watching basketball, honestly Jason Kidd play at Cal, and then I followed his career. But like, you know, even the KG era, to get back on track, like it's not like it was this like dominant 15-year era. Like there's like 3 or 4 good years in there, and KG was like an MVP and won a Defensive Player of the Year, and certainly deserves to have his like jersey retired. But it's not like it was this long, successful, fruitful era. It was also kind of bad there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just watching from afar, I remember that MVP season for KG. Just watching in Boston. I mean, you know, he was doing everything for you guys, and it's crazy too. I was watching you know, Stephon Marbury was talking about his Minnesota days, and he said that he loved playing in Minnesota. He loved the team. He just said that it was so cold that he was like, I just can't stay here. I just can't stay here. It was unreal, like, because he said that he loved playing alongside KG, but he was just like, as cold as it is, man, he was like, I can't do it. Apparently he said that, you know, he was driving to the arena, a lot of black ice and stuff like that. But anyways, I mean, you know, my biggest thing was, you know, just watching KG from afar. I knew he was a special talent, and the whole time I was just like, man, let him get his Robin, and I know he'll. If we had KG and Ant, in the at the same time,
different. Yep,
the Timberwolves already have about 3 championships.
Instead, he had to wait for Boston, which I will say Godfrey brings up ISO Joe. Maybe one of the bigger whiffs in Boston was trading the Joe Johnson pick to Atlanta. So, you know, everything comes full circle. I love Joe Johnson, though. A couple other comments here. Iceberg, what a game. Perseverance, baby. Completely agree. Like,
couldn't agree more.
And then Josh kind of brings up another player I wanted to talk about, is just
hell yeah
tonight. Second most points in a Wolves uniform. I believe he's had 30 once, which was his career high as a Wolf. But like, he got benched against San Antonio. What a way for Rudy to respond, right?
Hell yeah. Yeah, I love how Rudy came out. He set the tone in that first quarter. I thought he was gonna have a double-double in the first quarter for a second there.
Just you know, 13 and 6.
Yeah, he was right there. So, you know, if he comes out like that, you know, every game, I mean, like I said, all we need is a 13 and 10 from him every night. I'd be happy. You know, at this point in his career, and I just want some defense, some blocks, some rebounds. You know, that's all we're asking from him. You know, if we're being honest. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if he gives you that anything offensively like this, I mean, there's no reason why the Wolves should lose any games if he's giving you 20 plus points. You know, so I'm looking forward to seeing you know, what he does next game. Like the biggest thing with Rudy is consistency. Yeah. He can have a huge game like this, and then all of a sudden the next game it's like 7 and 6, and it's like, you know, he gets lost in the sauce. You know, he's an all-star. He's a Hall of Famer. You know, we want to be able to see that at a consistent rate and know it. And I'm pretty sure the Timberwolves want to know what they're getting from Rudy as well on a nightly basis. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it's tough because you got Nas coming in there, and then Nas is grabbing some of those rebounds that Rudy could have got. And, you know, same thing with Julius. Julius, when he's on his triple-double watch, you know, he has his moments where he has about 9 rebounds, 8 assists. So it's kind of tough for Rudy to get going on the defensive boards. But at the same time, you know, I know that if he gives you those 10-plus rebounds and he gives you those 10-plus points, he'll put the Timberwolves in a successful position every single time.
I mean, Rudy and Godfrey, our resident biggest Rudy Gobert fan, mentions, you know, he did have this game in a game where there was no Zion, no Herb Jones, no DeJounte. Kevin Looney only played like 10 minutes, and they didn't have Missy either, who
they were missing some huge pieces.
But this is the let me know if you agree with this. Like, this is the epitome of why Rudy Gobert is a floor raiser. Like, it honestly looked like Rudy Gobert was the only player for the first 3.5 quarters that looked like he wanted to play defense or basketball today. Yeah. And like, if they don't have Rudy today, they probably lose this one just because he looked like he wanted to actually play a game of basketball and win it. And then, overtime, Randle does his thing. Third quarter, Ant does his thing. But like games like these are kind of why Rudy's valuable is kind of my take.
No, I totally agree. Rudy is extremely valuable in these type of games, and to Godfrey's credit, I mean, they didn't have anybody, so I'm kind of questioning: is this a quality win, or was this like did they play down to their competition? Because there's no reason why you should be going to overtime with a 3-19 team. I mean, so sometimes you get caught up, and Ant got going a little late, too. Obviously, he got it going in that second half. But I mean, you got to come out and put your foot on their neck and keep it moving. So like I said, if Rudy and Ant were both getting it going in that first quarter, I think that that would have already been a 15-point lead going into the second quarter or something like that. So it is something to pause, for the cause and question, like, the quality of the win because of the team that they're playing. But this is the NBA. You got 82 games, man. You gotta take every single win the way you need it. So you gotta just take what you can get. And sometimes, like they say with NFL, like any given Sunday, like any given day, a 3-19 team will play you like this is their championship. And and Murphy was playing like it was his championship for sure.
Josh and Tony both have good points of just Josh. This team loses this game last year. I mean, they did. They lost back-to-back against Portland last year. They lost to a terrible Wizards game. The Bucks with only Kyle Kuzma. Like this, I do think this game is a sign of growth. And Tony kind of agrees with that, just saying, they seem to find a way to win better this year than last year.
Agreed, Tony.
I mean, I'll be honest, like these are the games that when I'm watching it are just kind of frustrating because it's like if they just came in the first quarter and played with the effort they played with in the fourth quarter, they could just win it by 30. Because like objectively speaking, this Pelicans, like what the Pelicans marched out there, there's probably more career G leaguers on that team than actual NBA players.
Yeah.
And like you have 2.5 all-stars with Julius, Ant and Rudy, and then Jaden's been awesome. Like you have 7 starters on this team. Like,
yeah,
I think it's fair for people to kind of roll their eyes at this type of win, but also like it's still a win. Like you don't give it back. You win, move on to the next one. I think you saw that when it mattered, this team can win in clutch. I do want to ask you another question though, but first I want to throw some ads in here quick, but I do want to ask you just your thoughts on the team overall, especially after they vomited all over themselves last week a couple times. But
I got you.
Yep. Well, hello. Thank you, live stream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read, this time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. So Tony asked a good Rob Dillingham question in the chat that we'll get to. But first, Travis, I just kind of want to ask you, because if they won that Phoenix game, right, and if they won the Kings game, both games were like, it was statistically an anomaly that they lost. Like they had over 99% win percentage. If they just won those 2 games, the Wolves are a half game behind the Lakers for the 2 seed. I mean, where should we be considering this team right now? Because as it stands now, they're the 6th seed, game and a half behind the Spurs, Nuggets, and Rockets. But at the same time, it's like they're a minute of bad basketball away from being potentially the 2 seed. Like, what's realistic to actually think of this team?
Yeah, I feel like it's still, for me, I feel like it's still early. I usually grade teams after 25 games on the season. But I do think that this team, the cohesiveness, that's what we heard all season, media day all the way till now. They were able to bring back the same team. And I think that's going to help them down the stretch. And it's going to help them now. They had, a rough patch last week. I mean, it happens to teams, right? But like you said, they're still in the mix. I mean, so I think the biggest thing is how do we put our heads down now and figure out defensively how to, get it going defensively, find out what that missing link is, to defensively and be able to really, help Rudy out. If they can defensively help Rudy and Jaden out, I think that they could really be a true force moving forward. I think that's what they got to figure out is what's the identity of this team moving forward. When we got Julius back after his injury last year, we was like, okay, we know what this team is. Now, offensively, they're getting it going, but then they lost a step defensively. So I think they just got to figure that out. And the good thing about it is they had an early start because, like I said, they brought everybody back. But I think for Ant, he got to take that next step too, right? And right now we're seeing that. So the little hiccups with Sacramento and Phoenix, I'm not too worried about that. But you got to make sure when you're playing against the big time teams and stuff like that, that you're showing up when it matters. When you're going against OKC and all these big teams. So I can't really put a finger on what this team is right now. But I know defensively they got to get better. And if they're gonna compete in the playoffs, it's all about defense.
Well, and what's kind of to your point of I'll be honest, like for me, I'm a very slow moving thinker. So like I generally tell fans like Christmas. Like wait,
Yeah,
talk to me after Christmas and I'll have a
exactly.
formed thought. But I mean the Wolves they're playing the Pelicans again on Thursday, the Clippers on Saturday, a Suns team that has taken some lumps on Monday, and then they have 3.5 days off before they play the Warriors, and that might be their next like test, which might be hard to even by then figure out what this team is because it's again going to be 4 games against sub 500
Yeah,
teams,
and that's where you get trapped. Yeah, you get those trap games. So they got to just keep their head down. These are those games that we should be seeing a lot of Rob. And I think that's what we need to really see. Like Anthony Edwards should be playing third quarter, half the fourth maybe, and then we get the chance to see Rob and them finish the game out with these next couple of games for sure. I mean, there's no reason why you're going into overtime against a 3-19 team.
I
So
mean point,
so
point
these are those games where you develop the bench and develop those young players. So then when it comes to those rough moments, Jalen Clark's like, all right, I already got some playing time. I already did
yep.
this. Rob's like, I've already developed this. I got some chemistry going with Nas now. These are what those games are supposed to be. But sometimes they play to their competition where it hasn't been the case. But, like you said, a win's a win.
A win's a win. They don't have to give it back. They get to move on from it. Let's talk some Rob here. First, CD asks, do you know if Rob has a trainer, a guy that is C. Hines for Ant? All of these guys have like their own like workout staff, like outside
Yeah.
of the team. I'll say last year, last year Rob was glued to Pablo Prigioni, like glued to him. This year, Pablo's assumed some more responsibilities with the team. I think he's kind of their pseudo offensive coordinator, if you will. So he's been spending a lot of time with Max Lefra. I think pronounce his last name. The French fella on the staff,
Yeah.
not Rudy Gobert. And is working a lot with Max, who has worked with some of the shooting guards and guards on the team before. So like he does have a guy that's like working out with him constantly. I mean, the other thing I'll say with Rob is like, his locker's next to Mike Conley and Bones. He has Pablo on staff still. Like he has a ton of people there to like ask questions to. Um, 7A options brings up the jump pass. Yeah, that one gives me heartburn. It's effective, but it gives me heartburn. Godfrey brings up the smallest player in the NBA, listed at 6'3". I will tell you that is probably not true, but he's listed at 6'3". And then Travis, what I wanted to talk about is just what's your take on Rob so far? Tony brings up, he doesn't really pass the eye test to him, but wondering what you see out of him. Especially let's just be honest, like he's strung together like 5 or 6 pretty good games. I mean, 0 for 2, 2 assists, no turnovers, 7 minutes tonight. I wouldn't say that's a bad Rob performance.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say that's a bad performance. I just, my biggest thing is I think when he gets his opportunity, he just has to take it and be confident in it, right? Nobody wants to play or do a job or even the heartburn. Nobody wants to be at a job where you're constantly like, if I mess up, I'm going to get fired, right? So
Yeah.
I think he just has to mentally get past the growing pains where it's like, hey, you're going to mess up. But when you mess up, don't make it consistent, right? String together some games where you're actually playing confident, getting the team involved, looking for your shot when it's open. He got to take the shot when it's open. Sometimes I feel like he passes it up, like even the other night, passed up that
Even
layup and gave it
tonight,
to
he
Rudy.
gave up
Yeah,
a 3
tonight.
that like Brady was even kind of questioning on the call.
Yeah, so he just has to be more confident, be able to take advantage of all the offensive opportunities that he has in front of him. And if it's not there for you, then make sure you're facilitating and creating for the next person. So for me, I think that he still has to continue to grow when it comes to just learning the game a lot better from a point guard perspective, being a facilitator. I think he's an
Mhm.
amazing scorer, but I think he needs to just kind of continue to get that tutelage from Mike Conley and continue to grow daily, right? And that's the thing. A lot of people think, okay, he's a top pick, top 10 pick. You thrust him in there, he should just automatically start cooking. Some of these things, it takes some time. It takes some time to really work it out. So I'm interested to see, what he does moving forward on this stretch of games that we have coming up, the next 4 games. This will be a great opportunity to really see what Rob can do on the court. But like I said, I need to see him facilitate more, get his teammates involved, and not pass up, that shot.
I agree with you. I like what CD said here too, is I think his
Yeah.
playmaking is solid, but his offense just isn't up to par. And
Yeah.
it's kind of what I'd agree to. I'll be honest, like the defense hasn't been bad. Like
Mhm.
they generally put him on the floor with Mike, Jaden, and Rudy. So like you have Mike, who's a really smart player off ball. You have Jaden, who's can wreck a game plan, and Rudy. And like he plays really hard. He
Yeah.
like picks pockets really well. He full court presses. To me, it's just the like in between stuff. Like you said, not compounding mistakes. I think you're
Yeah.
100% right. If you go up and down his like career kind of advanced box scores, he either has 0 assists or it's like 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on how many minutes he gets.
Yeah.
And then, he has to just it's tough that he's missing floaters, because I think if he could hit floaters and kind of develop that like lob floater that Mike has with Rudy, that would be huge for him. It's tough that he's passing up threes because that kind of ruins the spacing. And it's tough that he's had a few games where he just smokes open layups, because those are
Yeah.
the things that like build confidence. But like
Yeah.
overall, again, like he's strung together. I'm trying to think back, like 6 games where I've looked at it, like watched him, and after the game, I'm like, hey, Rob wasn't bad. Which,
Yeah.
not saying Rob should get 38 minutes and start, but like I think he's starting to figure out how this like 7 to 10 minute role goes. Wouldn't you say?
I agree. I mean, he has to master this role and continue to grow. Like I said, it's all about IQ and his mentality too, right? Like, it's just all about the small things, hustling for different defensive plays, getting in front of your man, guarding, being able to help on defense, communication. I mean, so many things that, I think that young players kind of forget sometimes because they're just so happy to be out there. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, if he can get out of his head and just continue to put his head down and focus on being Rob and play his game instead of playing the game nervous, like, oh man, I might mess up. you know, and that's what I don't want him to do, you know, when he's out there. Like, because I think Rob is an amazing talent. Like, I watched him before he even, you know, got drafted and stuff. Some of his highlights and different things like that. So, you know, for me, it's just being able to get that confidence from him, where that confident Rob that we saw before the draft process.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you speak about confidence, like Jaden, that's really the only thing that's changed with him is he's confident now and
Yeah.
he's scoring 18 a game.
Yeah.
Godfrey mentions, you know, Walter Clayton Jr. and Keontae George, one and a half of which were in the Rudy Gobert raid, are better than Dilly. I will say Keontae George doesn't have like the size issues that Rob has, but like,
Yeah.
kind of similar his rookie season and even last season of just like going through lumps. Like, I hope Keontae George is a good, competent NBA player that has a long career, but it is just kind of proof that sometimes these things just take time, which sucks when you're trying to win a championship right now and you draft the kid thinking he's going to come in and make an impact. But if 3 years from now he's on his second contract, averaging 20 points a game next to Ant, then I guess Tim Connolly will have us all eating crow.
That's true. That's true.
Travis, we'll wrap up here though, but first I do want to give you the opportunity. Anyone who comes on, whether you are the NBA 2K featured Travis Singleton or just the Andrew Dukowitz host of the podcast, anything you want to plug, anything you got coming out, anything you're proud of that you want people to go check out, the floor is completely yours.
Just want people to keep checking out the Missing Wolves. That's all. You know, keep checking out the show. For me, you know, just check me out on Sneaker Reporter on all platforms. SneakerReporter.com. Gonna be working on some stuff in the backgrounds with my podcast as well, trying to get that up off the ground. So yeah, that's about it, man. Just continue to, you know, support Andrew, support us, continue to support the Wolves, and I appreciate the time, man.
Hey, I appreciate you putting up with me sitting next to you for well over a year now. It's great every game, but
yes, sir.
For everyone that tuned in here, if you came in late, this will be released as a podcast tomorrow morning. That'll be on December 3rd at 7 a.m. If you can't wait for that for some reason, as soon as this stream ends, this will live on forever on YouTube at The Missing Minnesota, and it'll be up on my X as well, ADukeMN. Travis, thank you so much for coming on, man. I always appreciate it. Love talking to
you, bro.
And until Thursday, I go Wolves. They're on a winning streak. I feel like go Wolves is appropriate.
Go Wolves. Go Wolves.